Sure.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good, how are you?
All right, great stuff. Can't complain, man. Can't complain. Where are you joining us from, Michael?
I'm in Dubai at the moment, originally from South Africa.
Ah, same as me, same as me. Good to see you, man. Where about in South Africa are you from?
Born in Durban, but grew up in Joburg.
Okay, all right. I'm a Maritzburg boy myself, so also Natal. And tell me, what is it that you do
Okay, great.
here?
I'm doing consumer electronics goods, so we distributor for brands like GoPro, Whoop fitness trackers, some mobile brands and things like that. Yeah. So Middle East and Africa.
All right, so this is a whole brand management strategy that you're running for them, or would you taken a permanent
Yes.
position as their a MENA market manager?
Well, kind of sales manager, marketing manager, a whole bunch of things. It's a smallish
Okay.
company, so doing a whole bunch of things.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. Fantastic. And how long you been here?
7 years, 7.5 years, something like that.
Okay. So you also well set up, well known to Dubai. Right, brilliant.
Thanks. How long you been
Yeah.
here?
I've been here 5 years now. 5 years.
Okay. Great.
Came in just at the end of 2019. So yeah, 5 years here. Hi, Fad.
Yeah, I
How are
think
you,
I
Fad?
was.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Michael.
No, I was just saying, I think I came beginning of like April 2018, I think it was, yeah.
Okay, okay. I came down in 2014, spent a month or so here, but didn't get any employment, and then shot back, and then managed to come back in 2019. Mm. Brilliant, brilliant. Great to have you, Michael. Enjoy the course, enjoy the program. Is this your first module, Michael?
No, it's my third. I've done strategic change management, and previous one was accounting for next generation leaders. So this is the
Yeah,
third
yeah,
module. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, brilliant, fantastic. Hi, Fahd. How are you doing, Fahd? Got Fahd out here. Ah, yeah, good evening, Fahd. Where are you joining us from, Fahd? Where about are you? I think I've lost Fahd.
I noticed on the previous modules, some guys are a bit shy to speak or maybe busy or something like that, you know.
Yeah, no, I know that the guys are still at work and that kind of thing, and they don't really knock off, and they do log in and try and keep touch, but they've got to
Mm.
avoid interacting. Yeah, I know. But I still just poke the bear and just try and see if I can get a response. Uh, that's always good to test and try. All right, so you're going to have a fantastic opportunity when you get into the marketing management. That's going to be exciting. It's our next module that's coming up, international marketing management. You're
Yeah.
really going to enjoy that.
Are you doing that module as well or no?
No, I will be running that module, but there'll be about 4 or 5 I think we are 6 instructors. So not
Okay.
sure which instructor you get on that module. But yeah, I do run on another program called the UCAM, the Spanish MBA.
Yeah.
They run a specialization with the MBA in marketing management. Um, and that one over there, I run the brand management specialization. So I do the whole brand management specialization within that module. But yeah, if I get to take any of the marketing management classes here at PMU, I'll definitely include some of that material into there.
But I was thinking like after this MBA, I was thinking to do another MBA or the Masters in Data Science, or to do the DBA after this. I'm not sure because I've got I'm kind of, especially in Dubai, AI and technology and stuff like that. They're the highest paid jobs at the moment. And I know it's not something I've been doing kind of in my career, but I mean, if I can go into that specialization, I think, it's not too late for me. I'm only 37 now, so I think it's still a chance, an opportunity for me,
Yeah, why don't you then combine the two and take the doctorate in AI, the
Yeah, I saw
doctorate in
that. I
data
actually,
analytics or something? Yeah.
yeah, I did the open day with that a couple of weeks ago, and that's what I was thinking. So the doctorate in the AI, so do the data science first in the masters, then do the doctorate in that after.
You can chat with them. You can chat with them. They would give you some leeway to enter that. It's not necessarily that you have to have the foundational degree. I'm not sure, but you can chat with the guys.
Well, I think I
And
need I think I need the foundations, to learn the programs like Python and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
The basics. I don't want to go straight into a doctorate. Then,
No, so
like you
what
go,
what you would do is that you can possibly, if you want to, you can possibly run it concurrently. You would not need to do it staggered
hmm,
in sequential order. You could
yeah,
run it concurrently and then take it on and move ahead. Like you know, there are several of the doctor programs that you can take in combination with your masters and roll through. You split the modules up, but it doesn't delay you. You'll still run it concurrently and come out with it.
be the ideal situation. But
Mm.
I think the finances wouldn't agree with that.
That's the whole issue. That's the whole issue. My
Uh,
son has done that. My son is in Ireland, and he combined his master's into his doctorate. So his first year of his doctorate is his first year of is his master's degree. So they've credited him for that there. Now he's only got 3 years or 2 years to go, gets his doctorate out. So it can be done in combination. You don't necessarily have to do it. But as you say, yes, finances, because you're doing the two programs in parallel, but they they take your credit, but it's also challenging. You got to be completely dedicated to it because you're running two programs.
Yeah, I think I'll just I'll see how it goes, obviously,
Yeah,
after this, but
but
maybe
chat with the
just do the
guys.
masters first. Yeah,
You want to come pop over and have a chat with them sometime. It's fantastic. Come pop over. You're around the corner
yeah,
here. Brilliant. Thanks, Michael. Nice chatting with you. Let me get to know everybody else. Hi, good evening, Richard. Richard A. Puentes. How are you? And I've got Firas Hamdan. Hi, good evening, Firas. How are you?
Doctor, good evening. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Where are you joining us from, Richard?
I'm joining from Abu Dhabi.
Oh, fantastic. Great stuff. I'm here in Dubai. So brilliant. What do you do in Abu Dhabi?
I'm the quality control and engineering manager for an aviation company.
Wow, amazing, amazing. That's to say the least. It's a very challenging and then a huge amount of responsibility on that one over there. Where you originally from, Richard?
I'm from Colombia, Doctor.
Fantastic, fantastic. Welcome to the module. You're definitely going to enjoy the module.
Thank you so much,
Firas.
sir.
How are you doing, Firas? Where are you joining us from, Firas? Oh, he's typing out here. Tell us where you're from, Firas. Where are you joining us from? And Riyad Shahayab, if I pronounced that correctly. Riyad Shahayab, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. I'm joining you from Dubai.
Ah, welcome, local boy. Okay, I'm also here in Dubai. Brilliant. What is it that you do over here in Dubai, Riyad?
I am a specialist in air navigation services, so air traffic control and that like.
Wow, brilliant, fantastic, absolutely amazing. Those are really some top class niche, very niche careers. Where you originally from, Riyad?
Born in Lebanon, but raised in Canada.
Right, fantastic. Welcome to the module.
Thank you.
Going to be very exciting. Thank you. Great
Looking
to have
forward
you
to
on
it.
board.
Thank you.
Got a few people joining in here. And I'm trying to chat with. All right, brilliant. I'm just trying to see who is new here that has just joined on. Alayar Aliyev and Nakhib Rahman. Alayar, where are you joining us from, Alayar? Good evening.
Good evening, sir. I am joining from Azerbaijan.
Okay. Whereabout is that?
Yeah, I am in healthcare sector.
Okay, in healthcare sector. Fantastic. What is it that you do?
Hello. Yes, sir. Sorry. Some connection problem. Just
Yeah.
a minute.
Yeah. There's a bit of connection
it's okay
there.
now.
Okay, what is it that you do?
I am head of occupational health department. Usually, we are providing the healthcare in remote sites, like offshore and offshore, and mainly in BP platform, which in the Caspian region. And except this one, we are providing health service for the aviation. This is Azal company, and exactly for the pilot. And also first aid case, first aid medical service in the airport.
Brilliant,
And
fantastic.
also, Sokar Cape also, and Sokar, this is our local Azerbaijan oil gas company. And also there is a lot of remote sites, and that's it.
Fantastic. Welcome to the module. Great to have you on board. Very unique skills there, skill set required for that there. Fantastic, and I'm sure you're absolutely going to enjoy the module. So, good evening to everybody and welcome to class. Those that have just joined now, please, if you could share in the chat box. We've been chatting. There are a few of us that have already introduced ourselves. Kindly share in the chat box where you're joining us from, what your current role is, and in which industry. It'd be great to know everyone. We had a phenomenal run last week Tuesday. We had a huge activity. We had an online social event. I'm also in charge of the student council. So we ran a social event and we had everyone come on board and have a cup of tea or cup of coffee or whatever is your favorite beverage, and just chat and introduce and get to know everybody. And we had students from all the different faculties, whether they were involved in education, AI, management, the doctorate programs, doctorate management, doctorate education. Everyone got together. It was fabulous. So I love to get to know where everyone is from, what you're interested in. And it's amazing. You really get to see how vast our student population is and how geographically placed we are. We have a massive worldwide geographic footprint. So we've got Ali Bakhnem, Oil and Gas Organization, Technical Sales Advisor. My second module, I know, Ali. Brilliant, welcome. Good to have you again in class. Noor Saika, also from Bahrain. Client engagement and protection in the banking sector. Interesting. And we've got a local lady here, Firaul Fekadou from Abu Dhabi. And you are engineer in aviation industry. We have a lot in the aviation industry this evening, quite a few in all the different facets of the aviation industry, quality checks, air traffic control, engineer now, so there are quite a few of you. Dr. Alayer, we also spoke to from Azerbaijan. He's the head of occupational health. It was very, very interesting to chat with him now. We've also got Yaya Al-Danki.
قلنا الله يخليك رمضان كريم كل سنه واحنا طيبين.
So yeah, if you just joined us, we're busy chatting in the chat box. Kindly let us know who you are, what's your current role, and in which industry are you involved in. Just type out in the chat box. We're trying to introduce each other and get to know everybody. So welcome to the module, Strategic Leadership and Human Resource Practices. It's a module that has just trying to keep all the mics on mute. So it's a module that impacts you in every aspect of your the daily work life there that you go through. You're constantly in touch with human resource management. You constantly have to be understanding how leadership's role is required. What type of leadership role, what type of role should leadership take in strategic human resource management? So yeah, definitely something I think everybody will thoroughly enjoy. Yaya Al-Danki from Oman, engineer, is a project manager operations sector in the civil defense. Wow, brilliant. Thank you. Welcome. And we've got Riyad Shehayab, who is from Dubai Air Navigation Services. Brilliant. All right, so welcome everybody again to the module. And I think we are ready to get started. If I can just check how many were planned for the class. Yeah, I think we only got about 4 or 5 students that haven't joined us. So yes, good and well. Let's get started. So all my classes, I run with an extra document. I use an extra document that I type up and I keep some notes aside for you. So you can follow through on that Google document that I use as well. I'm going to share the links for that there. And we'll use that. And it's also a strong reference when you need to refer back to some notes urgently to do your assignment and to catch up with that there. So brilliant. I will share that with you now. So that's the Google Sheet, the Google document that I'll be running with, and we'll be referring to that sheet quite often. Right, so we're getting started off with our first slide pack, the LO1 slide pack, which is Strategic Leadership and Human Resource Practices in Organizations. Your LO1 is to critically analyze the significance of strategic human resource management and its changing landscape within the organizations. So here's a good quick quote to get you started. To win the marketplace, you must first win the workplace. Doug Cannon. So do you agree with Doug Cannon? To win the marketplace, you should first win the workplace. Oh, yeah. So let's say that then. Absolutely. When we talk of that then, to win the marketplace, you should first win the workplace. In order for you to have a position on the market, and in order for you to be competitive, if you're going to win, when you use the terminology win, win means that you want to be competitive. If you just want to get a place on the marketplace, we wouldn't use the terminology win. So if you want to be competitive within your market, then you need the right human resource capacity. You need the right kind of staff behind you that are going to drive that organization to achieve the best within the marketplace. So absolutely, if you want to be competitive in the market, then your first step is win the workplace. A cohesive, a high performance team that is cohesive, that works well together will definitely get you what you want. Okay, we have a historical background to both personnel and human resource management. We're going to discuss a little bit more about these two terminologies, personnel management and human resource management. But first, let's dig into a bit of background history. So this is a nice timeline, but it does expand beyond this here. So the initial start of this came in not even in the 1900s, in the late 1800s, 1880s, 1890s, climbing up to the 1900s. This developed first as the role for ladies to come in as primarily welfare officers. The Industrial Revolution and the industrial age were quite hazardous environments for factory workers, and there was very little in terms of health and safety at those times. So a lot of workers were exposed to dangerous chemicals, dangerous fumes. They were exposed to dangerous situations, and the casualty rates were very high. So these ladies that came on as welfare officers, they worked in getting in touch with families. Should these unfortunate incidents occur, they would arrange to get whatever funds that were given as compensation from the organization. That'd be the negotiating factor in there. They would work mostly in that part. And then came World War I. And obviously with World War I, the role of the welfare officer started to increase. And as more and more men were driven to the front line to fight in the war, there came about with a need for these welfare officers to take on more administrative tasks. And then post-war, the title then came in as personnel administration. So they now handled several administrative tasks. They now started getting involved into a bit of payroll, handling over a bit of leave, and handling this, handling that. So the administrative duties became a bit more. And then came the Great Depression. And as we progress from the Great Depression into World War II, and post-World War II, the administrative tasks then became more and more compounded and more complex. They then started getting involved with unions, negotiating with unions. they became the ultimate contact point. They also became more strongly involved in payroll. They were managing wages, salaries, and that sort of setup. They got involved in a bit of the hiring task, but not so much, but a bit of the hiring task, but they're still heavily involved in handling benefits, end of service benefits, pension funds. They got involved in that. And so the title that stuck with them was personnel management. So we're going to look at that. And personnel management has not, in a sense, died off completely. There are still some organizations that have that as a subdivision called personnel management. They've not yet evolved beyond that situation, but there are still functions that are referred to under personnel management. Then we effectively come into the 1980s. And the 1980s, the middle of the 1980s, flowing into the 1990s, out of the United States came the cliche human resource management. And this started to catch on very strongly. And we saw the personnel management title start to move away, and more organizations related to human resource management. So specifically in the wording are the words human resource, which was not alluded to previously. And this gave the connotation that the human capital, workers, your staff, the employees, had a value. They had a value which in a way could be equivalent to fixed assets, assets such as your machinery, as well as your other assets such as your brand image, your name, these intangible assets. So all of a sudden, here was a value add brought to labor. There was a value addition brought to labor, and labor now all of a sudden became designated as a resource. So that was the fundamental shift in management thinking when the labor force became recognized as an asset, and the designation came in under human resource management. And that saw an absolute explosion through the 90s, which included a variety of duties and functions. And those then continued to evolve. And then in the early 2000s, we then entered a new sphere with strategic human resource management. Now, as the title says, strategic, that meant that the human resource management function then became involved with strategy. And strategy is long-term planning. That is planning of 5, 10 years, 15 years planning. So that meant that the human resource function now became added to a strategic function. So planning, strategic planning now had to include human resource. And by including human resource, that meant it had to include the human resource manager to come onto the strategic level. And subsequent to that, given our recent global developments in the past 5, in fact 10 years that we've seen, the last decade or so, we've now seen the advent of digital human resource management. And digital human resource management has been the phenomenal increase in the use of artificial intelligence, the use of digital tools to carry out their functions and to interact with employees, potential candidates. So the use of digital tools in recruitment has been phenomenal. And there are quite a few organizations that lead in terms of this here. And we're going to look at some of those examples as we progress through. It's definitely on our pipeline there. So let's start off first with the first step, as we said, that hasn't actually gone away yet. Let's first look at personnel management. And from personnel management, we'll climb up from there. We'll go from personnel management to human resource management, then into strategic human resource management, and then we'll move ahead with digital human resource management. So let's get started up over here and climb from there. Okay, fantastic. So we want to get started now on personnel management. So as we said, we covered the whole evolution through there, and we are now on slide 6, which is what is personnel management? So let's go a little bit more in depth than what's covered on the slides over there. So this can be defined as obtaining, using, and maintaining a satisfied workforce. And it is a significant part of management that's concerned with employees at work and with their relationship with the organization. Now, one of the main researchers in this here is Flippo. And according to Flippo, personnel management is the planning, organizing, compensation, integration, and maintenance of people for the purpose of contributing to organizational, individual, and societal goals. Well, that's a mouthful. All right, let's repeat that again. So personnel management is involved in planning, organizing, compensation, integration, and maintenance of people. And this is done for the purpose of contributing to the organizational goals. So quite a broad spectrum there that it's evolved from a welfare officer into now that they're doing planning, organizing, compensation, and integration and maintenance of people. So it's primarily concerned with this human resource section of the organization. So it includes the function of employment, development, and compensation. It's an extension to general management. And they exist to advise and assist line managers in personnel matters. Therefore, personnel department staff is a staff department of an organization. So what's the role then of the personnel manager? Well, as we said, the personnel manager would definitely come in as the head of the personnel department, and he or she would perform both managerial and operative functions of the management. So they provide assistance to top management. All kinds of policy related to personnel or workforce can be framed out effectively by the personnel manager. They advise the line manager as staff person specialist. They act like a staff advisor and assist the managers in dealing with various personnel issues, including acting as a counselor and as a spokesperson. So they tend to act as the go-between. Their initial role of a welfare officer and being the link between the workforce and the management, that still stays as part of personnel management. So that fundamental role has not changed. Under personnel management, it's important to remember that a personnel management fundamental role is to remain a link between labor and manager. That's where personnel management sits. It's the origins of it from the welfare officer of the industrial times. So they have 4 definite functions that are delineated to personnel management. These include manpower planning, recruitment, selection, training, and development. So quite a hybrid over to human resource management. This is a nice pictorial diagram through the ages of it there. So now, as we're saying, there's quite a bit of similarities between the two. Let's look at human resource management then. So in comparison to personnel management, they look at improving employee performance, where personnel management just manage the daily needs. They have a limited focus under personnel management, whereas HR has a wider focus. Personnel management only look after employee benefits. Human resource management focuses on developing employee skills. So in addition to that, these are the additional functions that they have. So then what are the characteristics of human resource management? Well, there are nine characteristics of human resource management. They include embracing diversity. It's important that HR builds an inclusive workplace culture. They work to celebrate employee diversity, and they do this by embracing the differences in skills, abilities, experiences, backgrounds, etc. And then strategic alignment. That's where we came into strategic human resource management. This was the start of it, and they ensure that human resource goals are in line with the organization's goals. So the mission and the vision of the organization, if you take the mission statement and the vision statement of the organization, or the vision and the mission statement of the organization, that's the aims and objectives of the organization. In their vision and their mission statement, they have stated what they want to achieve. That's the fundamental idea behind a vision and a mission statement. And what happens is that senior managers develop a strategy or strategies to achieve that vision and that mission. That's the goal. That's a fundamental goal of the organization. So how are they going to achieve that? How are they going to get to that point? This is how they get there. The senior managers develop a strategy to achieve that. So part of that strategy can be that they need to develop a specific skill set. They need to develop certain trainings that would give them a competitive advantage. They'll identify that in the strategic analysis. So with that there, they will now need to ensure that the human resource management functions or goals align with those strategic objectives. And that alignment can include workforce planning, talent acquisition, as well as organizational culture development is another big feature of that there. So when we go down the level now, from the strategic level, we come down to the tactical level. So these workforce planning, talent acquisition and management, and organizational development are then at the tactical level. We'll bring those down to the tactical level, and those will be actual ones that we will implement. So from our strategic level, we'll then hit the tactical level. The tactical level is where we'll come in. So the next characteristic of human resource management is the requirement to build a commitment. And a commitment over here means that we need a loyal workforce. We need a loyal workforce. If we're going to develop a culture, an organizational culture, then we need to have a loyal workforce. And one of the ways that HR can help in that there is to promote a positive environment as well as a culture of transparency and accountability. These will all work towards developing an effective organizational culture that will work towards achieving the organization's objectives. A mutual benefit. So when we talk of a mutual benefit, we must remember there is always a key point that stands out with employees. WIFM. 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 And that is an acronym for what's in it for me. What's in it for me? But it should actually be, sorry, WIIFM. What's in it for me? All employees, before committing, before they commit their allegiance, they like to know what's in it for me. Otherwise, I'll do the standard. Come to work. My contract says 8 to 5. I get a 1 hour lunch break. I do my work, I go home. 5 p.m. I knock off, I go home. That's pretty much your factory worker. They work on an assembly line. Bang, they follow straight. The robotic function. And that's what's allowed the emergence of robots to come into that role, because it's a very structured format. Clock in, clock out, clock in, clock out, clock in, clock out. And it just carries on that level. But beyond that there, the rest of your workforce, your labor force, are going to have the standard issue. What's in it for me? Where does it fit in for me? What's the benefit for me? So when we talk of a mutual benefit, and we refer to cultivating commitment, then in order to get those two, there has to be a strong what's in it for me. Now you find that this is discussed very early on, right up at the front when the offer is being made. When the offer is being made, before the individual has actually set foot within the organization, the what's in it for me is already covered. That's what attracts top talent and brings the best of the best to the organization. So these can include a variety. They can include a clearly designated progression. So you know, KPI, targets, timeline, 1 year, I get to assistant manager. 2 years, I meet my KPI, I meet these requirements, I'm at manager level. Basic example, you have a straightforward lineup. It can include training and certification compensation. That if you take up certain training and certification, let's say you enter into a project manager role and you want to take on the PMP course, then bang, the organization will pay for that. They'll pay for that. You successfully part the exam, they'll pay for everything, and you'll get a PMP certification. Has a huge industry benefit. I'm 9 years of PMP, and it has an excellent recognition within the industry. So these kind of what's in it for me's are decided right up front. They're covered, and individuals full well know what that is. So when the request for loyalty to the organization and commitment for the organization to achieve its strategic objectives comes in, they're ready to answer that call. They will gladly answer that call because you've already closed that out. However, when that is not discussed, when HR skips this point, and then the call to action is raised, you find the hesitancy now. Because now, the first question that's popping in the head is, what's in it for me? Because that has not been clarified. You've got a call to action. You've got the call to action there, but staff are hesitant to respond. And this here is where we talk of the commitment and the loyalty. And that's why it's so important that HR drive this and have this as part of the initial sign-on when the offer is done. This is covered, because when the call to action comes that we need the commitment, it's given straight up front. They're there, they're ready, they step forward, they take charge. They're ready to step forward and drive it because they already have that clarification. So that's the clear point that HR should understand solidly. This will also lean towards valuing human capital. You find that certain organizations become almost like a brand. They become a brand unto themselves. Your top 4 accounting firms, KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte & Touche, Ernst & Young, those top 4 consulting firms, they're a brand unto themselves. Employees are knocking each other out to get an opportunity to work within those organizations. So when you think of that there, then you need to take a step back and say, what are they doing? Why? What's the benefit out there that they're getting? I mean, what's the advantage? Well, number one, they're getting the exposure because the Big Four deal with all your Fortune 500 and blue chip organizations that are listed. You cannot replicate that easily. You know that's a challenge. So let's look at the next level. Well, the next level comes in is that staff are given challenging assignments. Okay, we can do that. So what that says is give them an opportunity. There should be a... Sorry, when I'm chatting, it's not necessary for me to share the slides. You have the slide pack with you, Naimani. You have the slide pack with you. You can follow the slide pack there. I'm having a chat on the concepts over here that we are discussing on the characteristics of human resource management. So when you look at the different benefits over there, then you start to understand where and how you can start to develop yourself, your organization as a brand that the top talent want to come and work for you. They want to come and work for you. They're the attachment, the attraction, not the attach, the attraction must be there. So you can see that there. Challenging assignments. You need to have a stronger risk appetite, I agree. And there needs to be a different type of organizational culture where you give individuals an opportunity to develop. When they come to work for you, they're going to be put into challenging situation, but with some guardrails. There'll be some, not taking off the trainer wheels completely, but they'll be given quite a bit of leeway. And they get to test and develop their own skills. They get to develop their own management styles under guidance. So those are big, big plus factors. Then in addition to that, there you find that they run some of the phenomenal training programs, really phenomenal training programs. You can implement that. You can implement training. You can implement this challenging opportunities. There are two factors that you can bring in that will immediately create an attraction over time when people want to come and work for your organization. So we're following these characteristics now, Naimani. We're busy discussing these characteristics out over here. We're on our Google document over here. The last two over here are harmonizing outcomes. And this ensures that we enhance human resource management, enhances organizational productivity and profitability together with employee satisfaction and well-being. So it's a balancing act. And the more satisfied employees are, and the more their well-being is being looked after, we find that organizational productivity and profitability also increases. So there is a causal relationship. If I push over here, there's an equal and opposite reaction in the other side. So there is a relationship between the two. So as we drive one, we have the other driven. However, there should be some moderation applied. And we find that certain organizations have a kind of overboard theory. And the subsequent need for organizational productivity and profitability is not achieved. So it's important then to gauge where the saturation point is. In other words, there's so much that we can provide to employees and we will continue to benefit. And beyond that, whatever additional we add will not give us more productivity or more value. So there isn't a need to add that additional value to the employee's well-being. So there's an importance to understand where in each organization you'd achieve that saturation point and you cap it. It's not just to layer and layer and layer and layer without realizing where's the benefit attachment, because it's a causal relationship. So the more you add here, the more you have a result there. However, there's also a saturation point, and it's important to start to notice and monitor and make a note where you hit the saturation point. Say, okay, we've got there. Okay, let's move into the next slides. So we've looked at this comparison over here. And we've just closed out with the characteristics of human resource management. And we are now on slide 15, which is the functions of human resource management. For those that have just joined in now, or after we got started, apologies, here's the link to our Google document that we are sharing here. You're welcome to join us on here. These are notes that I've created and developed, and you're welcome to use these when you are doing your assignment. You want to refer back to something, you know you have this as a resource. It'll always be available to you. Okay, so let's look then at what are the functions of human resource management. So human resource management refers to the processes and activities said that a company uses to successfully manage its employees. And these functions include everything from locating and attracting qualified candidates for job openings to managing employee-employer relationships. Human resource management also guarantees that employees' requirements are met and that experience is favorable. This means that their salary, their monthly payment, it's done at the stipulated date and as per the contracted agreed amount, as well as any other benefits that are due. They are due for overtime, they are due for any sort of leave pay, sick pay, or any other bonuses. All those as per their contract, HR is there to ensure that those contractual obligations are met. So contractual obligations are the original contract that the candidate has signed to join the organization. So that's part of the functions as well. So here is a list. Well, here is a diagrammatic representation of all the key functions of human resource management. And we want to go through these individually. Give me a second, please. 1 second, and we continue now. So the first one that we want to get kick-started with is talent recruitment. And talent recruitment is one of the most significant responsibilities of HR. And we've now advanced on that there, and we've gone beyond just talent recruitment there. We now have a specific dedicated subdivision where you have talent acquisition specialists that work within the human resource management. They are specialized in only talent acquisition. So the human resource management department has expanded, and now you have a specialized division that manages talent acquisition, because it is that important that the organization continue to attract top talent. They need to get the best out there. They want to be competitive. If we go back to our first slide here, that we spoke about here, to win the marketplace, you must win the workplace. So if you're going to win the workplace, then you got to make sure that you have the best of the best. In order to have the best of the best, you need to have a dedicated talent acquisition department. So this entails discovering and choosing eligible applicants for employment, creating job descriptions, advertising these job opportunities on the right platforms, especially now with our modern age. It's important that the job descriptions are designed and created to suit the various platforms that are out there. Platforms such as LinkedIn and all these other platforms that are out there that assist in advertising these job opportunities and assist in sourcing people. The use of AI in assessing resumes. And then they're involved in conducting the initial interviews. The initial interviews, that's where they come involved in. And then obviously not selecting candidates, I would say filtering candidates. A better word than selecting is filtering candidates. HR's role can never be to select a candidate. Their role would be to filter candidates. Conducting, this requires some change here. Initial interviews and filtering candidates. So they would get applications, maybe 1,000 applications would come through for a position. However, there are eligibility criteria. They'll apply those eligibility criteria on a mass basis. And based on those eligibility criteria, they'll chop a big chunk of that out, maybe down to 200. From the 200, they will then start in their processes to then filter out potential candidates based on additional requirements that they have. That would then lead them up to maybe 20 or 30 candidates that they'd come out with. It'd be a final run of candidates. For those candidates, they would now need to conduct initial interviews. Based on those interviews, they would then select out 3 or 5 candidates that they base are the candidates with the most amount of potential for the role. And then they would then present that final selection of 3 or 5 candidates to management. So their filtration process would run through all that there. And the final selection that they have would then be handed to management. Management would then, in combination with HR, they will then facilitate the final interview process. And management would then make that final decision on who to select and who would come into that role based on all the facts that HR has provided, based on the initial interview together with the final interview. And they can have different processes. As I said, if they filtered them down on eligibility and they cut that down to 300, they can then go through phase 2. Phase 2 can then be where they have to do an online quiz and an online assessment that would then filter them down further. So various processes on that there. So one of the first functions of HR is talent recruitment. Then is onboarding. Onboarding requires the running the orientation to the company, where the candidates are taken through an orientation phase, and they are fully oriented to the new organization. And one of the ways that we've seen some of these successful companies do this is they reach out to staff, to permanent employees. And within the permanent employees, they get staff to volunteer as onboarding champions. Now, what's the role of onboarding champions? Well, you have the whole orientation that's carried out with HR. HR carry out the whole onboarding. They ensure that you're fully integrated with all the organizational functions, your roles and responsibility, how you fit in, all that they bring the organizations up to speed. Now, beyond that there, you now enter the workforce, you now enter the organization itself. And this can be quite daunting for a new employee, especially in big organization. So an onboarding champion is then an ambassador. They meet with you, they greet you, they become your sort of channel to get introduced to the rest of the workforce. It creates a social integration. They become a social link. And you get to know everything through them, because you're not going to remember everything. It's impossible. Now, all of a sudden, you want to know where do you get printer codes. You can pop over to them without feeling any fear. You know, you can pop in and disturb them and say, hi, sorry, where do I get printer codes again? Who do I go to see? Or who is Brian? Brian is supposed to give me printer codes. There could be 30, 40 Brians working in an organization of 198 employees. You don't know. But the people tell you, just check with Brian. Brian will give you your printer codes. And the person nods their head, but they don't have a clue in the world who is Brian that's supposed to give them printer codes. Now, this kind of onboarding champion would break that kind of speed down. There is functions such as these here, then they create a congenial atmosphere, and you find that new employees integrate rapidly, very rapidly within organizations, because they have this facilitation happening. Then training management is another function of HR. The training management function is critical for increasing employee skills and knowledge. So they need to carry out a skills assessment, and based on that skills assessment, they will design and develop training programs. And they need to ensure as well that the training programs are successful and they suit the needs not only of the employees, but they suit the needs and match the goals and requirements of the organization. And then performance appraisal. So HR would not carry out the actual performance appraisal. They would not carry out the actual performance appraisal, but they will facilitate the process. So they will work based on the job description. They will work to develop and create the key performance indicators. They will also work to develop the latest performance appraisal methodologies. And they will then train the management in those latest methodologies, how to effectively use these forms, how to effectively assess for key performance. And based on the final evaluations that they receive, they will then run that feedback process to the employees. So they don't actually carry out the performance appraisal, but they develop and design the methodology behind the process performance appraisal. And they are also responsible for the feedback. They also have an oversight function. When we say an oversight function, they oversee it. And the oversight function over here ensures that the process is fair, effective, and it's connected with the goals of the firm. So it's important that they manage that process to ensure that employees are not unfairly discriminated against. So you got to monitor that process, or HR has to effectively monitor that process to avoid this kind of discrimination where managers develop their favorites. Maybe they're going to make a cup of coffee for the manager every morning, or maybe they run out at lunchtime and they pick up their kid and they take them and drop off their kid for them. They run around, do these small little functions. All of a sudden, they're the big favorite. So human resource has an oversight function to oversee that those kind of discriminations are not taking place, and that these performance appraisals, they need to remove subjectivity, because the only time that that can come in is when these KPIs have subjectivity in them. So it's a clear process. And have you achieved this? If you achieved that, you're awarded number 3. If you haven't achieved it, you achieved it a 1. If you partially achieved, you get 2. And they're very clear and specified steps to the whole process. And obviously, when HR has an indication that the process has not been carried out fairly, they can go ahead and say they want to do a review and involve a second manager into the process. And that will immediately remove that favoritism coming into play, because now you have this oversight feature coming in. They're just processing that. They are not involved in carrying out bonuses and merit increases. The amount of bonus and merit increases based on their performance reviews, those will be set by management. So the only thing that HR would be doing would say they would be informing the employees of the process, how they would be eligible for those merit awards based on their performance appraisal. That is all they'll do, but they will be behind the scenes involved with senior management in designing those kind of bonuses and all that there. But by and large, that information is held at a higher level, at a senior management level. So yes, if you have a director of human resource, they're going to be part of that process. That's without a word of doubt. But the lower level would not be in that, it would be a closed room. Well, it normally is, but I stand to correction. All the organizations have to, each organization has its own process. We're speaking quite theoretically. The next function is workforce engagement. And here it ensures that employees participate. They need to be encouraged. Their concerns need to be addressed, and communication with management needs to be facilitated. So this is a big function of human resource as well, to ensure that they support an appreciated company culture. And then payroll management. Well, payroll is a big part of human resource management, and they are heavily involved in overseeing the salaries and benefits of employees. However, the actual process of paying it out is carried out by the finance department. So HR's role over here would be to ensure that they are passing on all the new information of new employees that they've hired, as well as any leave applications that have taken place, be it annual leave, sick leave, study leave, all those type of leave applications. They're updating finance based on that there. And so that's their large role in payroll. They'll also, especially if they're working contract hours, they will inform the payroll division and give them the updated contract hours worked by the employee for the month. So they'll have all those records with them that they'll share with the payroll division. And then compliance management, they need to ensure that the organization complies with the relevant local labor laws and rules and policies. And then obviously succession planning is very important to ensure that employees have a dedicated succession planning and they know that they can grow within the organization. And how does that happen? So it's not just good saying, oh, we provide a lot of opportunities for you to grow, so do well and you'll definitely grow with the organization. That is not succession planning. That can in no way be interpreted as succession planning. Instead, you're required to complete 2 years at this role, at this level. During those 2 years, it is important that your quarterly appraisals at each quarter achieve a value of 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 at each quarter. Based on achieving those targets, and boom, the following things, you will then be eligible should the assistant manager role become available, which we're expecting to, you'll then be a candidate for that role. Now that's a definite progression. You have a definite target, you know what you need to achieve, and you know what the end goal of that is. And you have a timeline, 2 years. So you've got everything set out in front of you. And then you can plan ahead and you know how you're going to get there. So that's a big difference. When we talk of succession planning, It's that kind of transparent layout to say this here is the plan. Diversity inclusion we spoke about, employee wellness we spoke about. Then importantly is not just talent acquisition and talent retention. It also involves exit management. Exit management is very important as it deals with the departure of personnel. And here it's important to conduct exit interviews to ensure that you understand reasons behind exits. To also managing now not the onboarding, but the offboarding process to ensure that the organization meets its legal and ethical compliance and then do not open themselves up to a lawsuit. So exit management is extremely beneficial. And it's important that HR develop a feedback loop. And that feedback loop goes back to management where they give them the reports that are done based on the exit interviews. And management can then watch to see if there's a trend developing and how they can tackle that trend and where the fault lines lie and why. If there is a huge turnover in staff, then these exit interviews are going to be critical in stemming that flow of staff out. So it's very poor for organizations to have high turnover rates. They need to stabilize. And then one of those things that would help them to manage those turnover rates is exit interviews and the reports based on those exit interviews that HR creates and develops. All right, before we get into the managerial functions, let's have so we have a 15-minute break now. We'll stop for 15 minutes. Are there any questions before I kick off? Let's open up to questions before we go into our break. Are there any questions thus far? How's everyone doing? All right, great. Thanks for that. All right, so let's go for our break. We'll take 15 minutes. 15 minutes based in your time zone. Based here in Dubai, we'll say we'll come back at 8:45. 8:45, we'll be back online. All right, so 15-minute break, and we come back at 8:45 and we'll pick it up again. Thank you. Oh, okay, great stuff. Welcome back. While you're just getting settled in, just give me 2 minutes. I'm just getting another thing ready for you over here. Okay, go. And we can just pick up on this here. Won't be long, we'll get started now. Okay, all good to go. Let's get back in over here. We were at the managerial functions of human resource management. So the managerial functions of human resource management, now taking them up a higher level, involves again now planning. Why this jumps out? It involves planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. So planning is studying and identifying the organization's human resource needs, both in terms of number and quality. Organizing refers to identifying the human resource requirements. They need to ensure the right people are in the right place. And this includes developing job description and specification, as well as building job structures and hierarchies. Directing is the process of leading and inspiring personnel to achieve the goals of the firm, creating a great work atmosphere and providing feedback and reward. Controlling entails monitoring and analyzing workforce performance and taking corrective action as needed. So those are its management functions: planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. Okay, so then given that, we move up on our level. So we know where we started up. We're now reaching here, which is a strategic human resource management. So we progressed up from personnel management through human resource management. Now we get to strategic human resource management. So naturally, when we're talking of strategic, we are referring to strategy. And then this means that human resource management is going to be involved in the strategic processes. This links labor with the core strategies, objectives, and goals of the organization. And it focuses on the following core functions or focuses. So let's pull that down. So here it is: ensuring practices that foster flexibility and they give a competitive advantage to the organization, and in building a cultural fit for the organization, and also ensuring superior business performance. So as this is a contemporary approach to human resource management, the human resource manager needs to gain a deeper understanding of strategic human resource management in order for them to be active partners in creating company policies and implementing them. So strategic human resource management can be integrated into various functions, and these can include hiring, training, and rewarding. So in a modern world, especially in this post-pandemic area, it's not easy for businesses to overcome all the HR challenges. And there are various components of the human resource ecosystem that can be confusing for employees, and they can lead to ineffective decisions. And this can result in a loss of productivity as well as a slowdown in business growth. So then we move to the next aspect, which is strategic human resource management and integrated approach. Now, an integrated approach means that unlike our conventional systems, we now look at how companies can apply strategic human resource management principles, especially in organizations that don't have HR as a department that's separate from your normal verticals. And rather they work in tandem with each of these departments. So in IT, you have a human resource section. In each one, you have their own one. So in order to avoid those kind of silos and have an integrated system, you then find that HR will help in building strategies that are well aligned to those goals. And such an integrated human resource management function becomes a key enabler of business growth and not just a mandatory service that's normally required just to do with hiring and paying the employees. So, importance of strategic human resource management functions. Sorry, I need to just get that done. It does not want to play game today. So there are various benefits of applying strategic human resource management for any business. And these include increased job satisfaction, a better work culture, improved rates of customer satisfaction, efficient resource management. So you got the right staff at the right time in the right place. In fact, we should make a note of that there. Having the right staff at the right place at the right time. That's what that refers to. Efficient resource management. It refers to having the right staff at the right place at the right time. And then a proactive approach to managing employees. So this is probably one of the most critical skills under strategic human resource management. This is probably one of the most critical skills under strategic human resource management. You can type in the chat box and tell me, why do I list having a proactive approach to managing employees as one of the most critical skills and job functions of strategic human resource management? Why is that so important? Why am I giving such a high precedence to this here? And I'm listing that in red, a proactive approach to managing employees. Why? Where's the thinking behind this? Why is that important? You can type in the chat box. Hi, you're welcome. Put your microphone on, lift your hand up, and I'll give you the chance. Put your microphone on, and you can chat as well. Oh, Riyadh says, it focuses on the individual employee needs and addresses their requirements. No. Close, but no. Not there. It's a reactive approach to make the employee not feel part of the team. No. No, you're looking at the wrong aspect. It's not leaded, it is strategic human resource management. So we know both of you guys are good, but we are not looking at the employee side. You're looking at the organization side. Right, Naguib, you've entered the first part of it. It achieves the long-term goals of the company, which are, you got half of it, right? Which are what? Naguib is online over there. He's understanding where it's running, but now you've got to look at the next part. It focuses on what? A little bit more than that there. So if I can help out over here, Naguib has got it. It achieves long-term goals of the company to focus on the, not the individual employee, but to focus on the, it's to focus on the organizational needs and the organizational requirements, the core business needs. Correct, Naguib? So they have to focus on the it's to achieve the long-term goals of the company, to focus on the organizational needs and requirements. So let's explain that a little bit more and what happens over here. So this has been a critical function of HR that they miss, is when you start developing a department called talent acquisition. Now, part of talent acquisition, one of the most critical roles of talent acquisition that is done inside of your HR role, inside of your strategic human resource role. That's why we say strategic, is developing a talent pool. Developing a talent pool. A talent pool. So how does a talent pool get developed? How do you develop this talent pool? So here we go. At the strategic level, the organization has certain goals and objectives that they're going to carry out, and certain strategies have been developed. In line with those strategies, they are now outlining where the skills shortages would lie. Those are then translated down to the HR department. So one of the first things that they do is get hold of the line managers. They get hold of the line managers and they say, from your current employees, can you identify any employees that have not all, but some of these skills? Let's start identifying. They then pick out and they contribute. Might be in 3 weeks' time, 2 weeks' time, they send through an email. They say, right, we run a few runs through. These are the guys in our division that possess either 1, 2, 3, whatever the skill. They're very good in it. They recommend them. Now you start latching those onto a talent pool. So you have the list as the HR. You have the overall picture, the overall list. Now you start filling in the blanks. And you say, okay, so we've now identified 10 employees. 10 employees have been contributed to our talent pool. And we had 6 skills that we had. Out of the 6 skills, we've been able to identify 10 employees where they possess 3 to 4 of these skills. And they said to be relatively native to this yet, second nature to them. So from that, we know we're short of 2. Now we plan a training program. We run a training program. We stopgap that. We stopgap that. We close that gap up. We take these 10 guys into a training program. We get them up to speed. When management is ready to start with the project, we have the staff skill within the organization ready. We are ready. Internally, bang, we have the staff ready. So where's the competitive advantage in this? Well, your standard recruitment process, the standard drive in the recruitment process is that the HR receives a request. We need certain systems engineers. We need systems engineers. Maybe we need 2, 3 systems engineers. One specialized in project management, one specialized in software consultation. Boom, boom, boom. So they send them out. Now HR sits down. They now develop the job description. They run through the job description. They do their whole analysis, everything. They get the job description. They work with the management, create the finalizing nuances of that, then make sure that they've met all those things that they're looking for. They get it right. They then go to market. Market can be LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, the jobs in Dubai, whatever. They post this out. Or they developed a network. They reach out to their network of HR consultants. They say, bang, see what you got for us in this range over here. And everybody will come back. So now they go through that whole process. Now, obviously, there's 1,000 applications that come in. They're then going to go through the eligibility, break that down to 300, boom, 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 boom. And then they go through that final steps of the filtration. They do the filtering interviews. They have the final candidates. Those candidates are gone through for final interviews, and the final candidates are selected. Now, that process in itself has taken 2 months. 2 months. Guaranteed 2 months. Then you have the next issue. That employee has a notice period. They have a notice period. They're working. They've got to give notice to their current employer. Minimum 30 days. Excuse me. So we lost another month. 3 months gone now. Then they come in. Then we got to start the orientation and the assimilation. So despite how many times they tell you, I'm ready to hit the road running, they haven't found their tackies yet. They're running shoes. They're still looking in the wardrobe for their running shoes. And it takes them about 3 weeks to find their running shoes. And by the time they lace themselves up, it's only in the 4th week that they actually hit the road running. So in effect, the standard human resource recruitment process takes 4 months before that asset is now viable and you can get your project running on the road. Now, your competitive advantage is that if you are running these processes, such as a talent pool, and you're developing talent internally, and you're creating a core of a high skill, tomorrow morning, the manager walks down and he says, hey, we want to get this project started on the road. You know, we chatted about this here. Do you have any potentials? Yes, sir. They're ready. They're ready to go. We can give them a shot now. What's the time now? 8:30, 9 a.m. We'll be inside the boardroom. You can have a go with them and start with the whole project. We're ready to go. Boom. 30 minutes. All the staff are in there. They're ready. They're seated. They know their function. They know who they're reporting to. Nothing to do. They've been with the organization for a long time. They understand it. They're ready to move. Now, what a competitive advantage do we have compared to that standard process that's going to take us 4 months before we're able to get going? That's the phenomenal gap that you develop. Yes, the gap also works. You also get the competitive advantage is where the line managers also come back to say they do not have candidates suitable for the role and you need to go external. So that external as well also develops a talent pool. Part of your talent acquisition is they always tell you they'll retain CVs. They always keep your CVs on file. And that is to specifically for them to create talent pools. They will develop talent pools externally as well. So they've already gone through some filtration process and they develop external talent pools. And then they reach out and they say, are you still interested in a position with us? Something has come up and your CV does match the requirements. Now they've avoided the first part, but it will still take them at least a 6 to 8 week gap to bring them on board. But it's a faster process because they have a pool to access. They have a knowledge vault that they can go dip in and say, okay, they can pull up. And then beyond that, then you get stuck up there. But the process to increase your competitiveness as an organization is driving a talent pool. And especially if you drive the talent pool internally, cannot be beaten. Your competitive advantage is massive. So this is one of the most important functions, the most critical functions of strategic human resource management is maintaining a proactive approach to managing employees. You're ahead of the game. Proactive is not reactive. You do not react after something happened. Proactive. You're at the front. So how does strategic human resource management work? How does this happen? Well, it follows the following steps. You cultivate an in-depth understanding of the organization's objectives. You assess the capabilities of the human resource team. You analyze the existing human resource strength in view of your objectives. So that's important. This is an internal assessment of the human resource department. So besides doing an assessment of the organization, you also need to assess the human resource department to ensure that that department has the capacity to manage strategic human resource. In other words, you check your talent acquisition officer. You check all your department, your whole department. They have the knowledge and the skills to carry out the functions in order to be able to effectively deploy the human resource management strategy devised on the basis of the whole analysis. And then it's important that strategic human resource managers, they check for effectiveness within their department and they take corrective actions when needed. Things are not working out, they must know how to bring it back into alignment. What's very important is that irrespective of the field or industry that anyone is involved in, strategic human resource management is essential for every business, every industry, every field, every division. Strategic human resource management is the single commonality across all business fields. It's not only for large enterprises or companies with hundreds of employees. In fact, right from the outside, when a business focuses on scaling, SHRM principles can enhance the speed of growth. So if you have a startup and you have Alan has created a startup and they've got 6 or 7 of them that have done the startup and they're all around, they work together in this creative space. They're designing and developing on their laptops, they're developing some applications and that kind of thing. And the team consists, they have, as I said, about 7 individuals. Now, Max has got an issue and he turns around to Alan and he says, "Hey, Alan, I can't come into work tomorrow morning. I've got to take the kid and go to get the kid sorted out at the dentist." And says, "Yeah, okay, no, I'll go, no problem." And then the next day you have Jonathan. Jonathan says, "Oh, you know what? Next week, Saturday, I want to go out for my anniversary, eh? I'm not going to be in." Goes, "Yeah, no problem. Carry on." And then the guys sit down and discuss, "Hey, can we arrange a bonus? We've done quite well. We'll be able to sell this, sell that." Done. It's a simple process. However, the application becomes very successful. And now all of a sudden the demand is there. And the organization expands rapidly. And they got 50 employees. Now they've got employees, they got a little office in here, but they still come along and they knock on the door. "I'm going to write an exam tomorrow. Can I take off?" Alan says, "Yeah, okay. Just make a note and drop a note here in my box here so that I can write it down that you took study leave." "Okay, sure." And he's on the phone with a major client and someone knocking on the door. "Hi, Alan, sorry to disturb. Can I come at 9 a.m. tomorrow instead of 8 a.m.? And all these things are hitting him. Then Max there that he initially was chatting with, Max comes in and Max says, "Listen here, we need to hire some guys. We're running short of guys here in the main department. We need some software specialists here." And then Alan's on the phone and chasing this down, chasing that down. And then they hit 98 employees. And it's not feasible. And he knows it's not feasible. And the next solution is now he needs a dedicated human resource department, and more importantly, a dedicated strategic human resource department. And in order for that organization to continue to grow as a startup and make a success, they've missed out a key function. So strategic human resource management is not something only for large. It should be throughout any organization. It's an integral function of every organization. Okay, fantastic. I want to hold it up there and catch up the balance on Wednesday with this LO1. I want to have a quick squiz over here at the assignment brief. Obviously not too much tonight because we've just started off the module. So we don't want to go into too much of detail and confuse things broadly. But we do want to spend some time on it and just get acquainted. We just want to get acquainted with it, and we'll get cracking with this on Wednesday. By then, we've covered LO1, and we'll have a lot more information available to us to fully comprehend this. So let's get into the scenario. You've got to do your assignment over here has got to be 4,000 to 5,000 words. And in addition to that, you need to ensure that there is a total, or that there is a minimum, not a total, sorry, a minimum of 12 academic articles. 12 academic articles. You can go into your LMS. On your LMS, you have your library. You go here into your e-library. This will take you into ProQuest. You can search here on ProQuest. We have another library here, which is the Woolf University Library, also part of Exceed College. You can go into Woolf Library over here. Several journals are here on the Woolf University Library. So we have two libraries. We have ProQuest electronic libraries, and we have our Woolf library as well, the Woolf University Library as well. You can access either one of those there and ensure that you use 12 academic articles throughout your report, a minimum of 12. Okay, let's get into the scenario. COVID-19 pandemic has caused tremendous disruption in the lives and in businesses. So they're taking you back to the COVID-19 situation. The human resource function is the key to catalyzing changes in the workplace. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, the top management in the organization has decided to implement a one-year work from home policy. So this is give and take, putting you at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Given the fact that there will be no employees physically present in the organization, the human resource management policy change will have an impact on different human resource management practices within your organization. Now, you are the Vice President Human Resources, and based on your role, you need to write a report on how the organization will handle this change where the employees were taken to remote work. And you also need to discuss how it will impact on the human resource management activities, the standard activities that human resource management will be carrying out when the organization was in person and now it's gone remote. What's the impact on those activities? So you can choose your own organization, or you can choose another organization within your industry for the object of writing this report. You need to follow the correct format over here, which includes a brief summary, your executive summary there. Then you go through an introduction. Then we critically discuss and analyze the effect of strategic human resource management. We look at two leadership theories, and then we analyze the factors driving change and discuss two change management models. Along with that, we are required, important with this one over here, this is a big part of your assignment, is to develop a change management implementation plan along with a communication plan. So that's on question 5, and that holds 30 marks to address the new work from home policy. So we're going to be looking at that in detail when we get to it. And then obviously at the end, provide overall recommendation and final conclusions to be given for the chosen organization. Very importantly, you should maintain Harvard referencing throughout the assignment. Your performance descriptors over here give you a good indication to each question, and they will give you a solid breakdown of what you are looking for in each one. So we'll start tackling this on Wednesday. We'll look at the first question up over here, the effect of HRM and human resource management on organization performance. We'll look at that first question on Wednesday, and we'll cover this grade descriptor along with the requirements for that one. Okay. How's everyone doing? Anybody okay? All right, let's do some activity. One of the best parts and the challenging aspects of being in these kind of modules is when you get put into a simulation. When you get put into a simulation, that's when you get to really test this out, and you get to see how well you can do given the current situation. Just want to see, we've got 26, 7 by 3, 21, 8. All right. Give us a second, we're setting it up. Just waiting for the system to load. Now, why did you do that? I'm sorry, just give me a second. I just need the system to load and set up the rooms into here. Right. Just waiting for Microsoft Teams. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, brilliant. All right, so here's our activity. Here's what happens. Let's take this down. So, okay. Right up so we can read it. All right, so we've got a case study on talent management that we've been chatting so much about here in human resource management. And here's our case study. So Parika Chemicals, they're a well-known name in the chemical. I'm not sharing my screen. How brilliant. How brilliant am I? Right, so here we go. So Parika Chemicals is a well-known name in the chemical industry for the past 42 years. They held a good market share. And they're also involved in manufacturing various chemicals, which are used in various industries like fast-moving consumer goods, pharma, pesticides, leather, and various other industries. And with this, Parika have two big plants, namely Alpha and Gamma, for the manufacturing of chemicals. Alpha being the parent plant and Gamma being started 10 years back. Now, Vijay is a young, dynamic, and committed employee, and he works in the accounts department for the Gamma plant. That's the one that started 10 years back. He has been working with Parika Chemicals for more than 6 years. He's an MBA finance graduate with versatile knowledge in finance. Moreover, his committed nature was never questioned, and he's known for that almost in the entire plant. So the next aspect is Vijay expects transfer. However, Vijay has been looking forward to a transfer to the parent plant Alpha, as he feels he can grow and develop professionally there. He has been submitting an application for transfer every year for the last 3 years. Each year, he waits eagerly for the transfer list, which is usually displayed in July of every year. And on each occasion, his name was not on the list. The initial 2 years, he didn't take it seriously and he waited for another chance. However, when his application was rejected for the third time, he was absolutely dejected. After a short deliberation, he decided that he needed to approach the hiring team and subsequently requested a meeting with them. Now, present at that meeting was Mr. Sudan, who is a senior manager HR, and Ms. Kaveri, which is a senior manager finance. A visibly upset Vijay directly started with the question, why is my name not there in the transfer list? I want to know the reason for the rejection of my application. Even though there is no difference in compensation and benefits between Alpha Plant and Gamma, he still always wanted to be there at the main plant. Undoubtedly, both Sudan and Kaveri were shocked by the tone and reaction of Vijay, but both maintained their composure and tried to address the issue. Kaveri stated out, Vijay, you are one of the best performing employees in the department. You and David, your own classmate, joined the organization together. However, you were afforded more training opportunities than him. Can you deny that fact? Vijay is not happy. He acknowledges that he has benefited. However, his tone is still abrupt and he replies, yes, it's true. But the fact is he got the transfer in his second application. Now he's in Alpha and I'm still here. Sudan then stated, but Vijay, why do you want to apply for the transfer every year? The compensation, benefits, timing, culture, everything is the same in both the plants. There prevailed an absolute silence. Vijay broke the silence. All are the same, but the finance department is big there with a lot more employees and I can perform more and I can shine more. So Kaveri, who's his finance manager, says, okay, Mr. Vijay, now I understand your issue. Being the head of finance, I'm giving my prior consent. If Mr. Vijay applies for the transfer again next year, I don't have any issue in giving him clearance to it. Vijay left the meeting after this result. However, Mr. Sudan, the senior manager, was not convinced with the outcome, because the fact is, Kaveri is the reason that Vijay's rejection of transfer. He remembers the conversation between him and Kaveri on the transfer application of Vijay, where Kaveri told him, Sudan, Vijay is very dynamic. At a very young age, he's excelling well. I want to mold him in various financial aspects. If we put him in Alpha, he may not get the exposure in all aspects as the department is big. Moreover, Mr. Mohiti, who is subhead of finance, will retire in 2 years. So I wish Mr. Vijay to take over the position. With this in mind, Sudan decided that he should have a follow-on meeting with Vijay and clarify the reasons behind the rejection of his application for the transfer. He felt he needed to be transparent with Vijay as he would lose a good potential opportunity. Now, shocking news. Sudan was shattered the next day when he received a resignation letter from Vijay stating that due to personal reasons, he is resigning the job. So here's your question. What should Sudan do now? Who is at fault? And to which concepts of human resource management can you relate this case to? So you're going to get your own worksheet. I want you to answer your questions here. Each team will get their own worksheet. You will now be sent into your teams. There are 3 teams that are going to happen. We'll probably change that there. Give me a second. Let me redo this because I have a few people that have some issues here with technical problems. Choose the number. So we'll create 3 teams, 2 will move in, 1 will stay here that has technical issues. Get the rooms loaded again. There we go. All right, so you'll be moved off now to your teams, and then I will join you and I will share the link for your worksheet with you. Good luck. I see you now. You'll be moved into your room now. Right. So you guys that are here, you guys going to work as a team over here, and you'll use this chat box over here. Someone who's on their laptop over there, give me your name, and I will give you presenter status, and you can share the screen. Who is it that is going to be able to type out for me? Who will take on the responsibility of sharing the screen and typing out? One, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Brilliant, guys. Good luck. Go for it. So you guys chat here and work in the room. You've got your link there. That's your sheet. Discuss your case. Go ahead. I'm going into the other rooms to see the other teams.
Hello?
Hello, guys. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Hi, how are you? How do I
Hi,
share? I don't know how to share. Oh, yeah, wait.
All right. I believe it's
Um,
very easy and to find out the solution.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, who wrote down the questions? I didn't get the questions written down.
Yeah.
The questions
But
are
I
at the
know
end. There's
that
slide down the sheet. They should be right at the end of the worksheet. Go right down.
Down,
No. You're on the wrong
what?
sheet. You're on the wrong
Uh,
sheet. Here's the link
I
again.
put the questions already.
yeah.
Yeah,
Here's
the
the
link
sheet.
the link is in the
maybe-
chat box.
Check the link here again.
This one, yeah?
Yeah, the one that I've shared now. That's it. That's your
Oh,
one.
okay. Yeah,
And
yeah.
you type your answers down there. Brilliant.
Okay, what do you guys think? I was the reason why I was on that other page was I was going to succession planning. I was thinking that maybe succession planning was the concept.
Okay.
Anybody else
So
have any ideas?
Yeah, I agree that it's a succession planning issue.
Anyone else with any ideas?
I'm trying to find a first solution for the first question, as I can find.
Okay, yeah, let's start with the first question. So what should Sudan do now? Sudan is the manager who had said that he was going to promote him after the guy was going to retire in 2 years.
I think
He should,
Sudan was the HR person. It was the other guy
Yeah,
who was the
he-
manager
he's-
that agreed.
He's actually the senior
No,
manager.
he was
so-
head of finance actually, this Sudan.
Oh, my apologies. Okay.
You mean Vijay, the other guy? Yeah.
Okay.
Vijay is the employee. So Sudan is the finance manager. So with this in mind, Sudan decided that he would have a follow-up meeting with Vijay and clarify the reasons behind the objection of the application for transfer.
So I believe the first point it should be like immediate response, like he should like address a meeting with him. This is the first thing he should do.
Yes.
And as an HR manager, the first thing as an HR manager, he needs to be a transparency and the communication. Clearly communicate with the reasons behind these rejections or transfers,
Okay, anyone else?
I'm going through the
Scenario.
scenario again.
I believe the scenario is like, telling us a story, like every employee in here in the group, they have these problems, So I believe like immediate response from the HR and transparency with communication and even offer support from the HR to let you stay there, So
Yes.
I believe I faced this like 3 times already. So this story is actually happens to me like many times. So I know it. I mean, it's tell us the story actually.
Who is at fault is HR is at fault actually. They have not communicated properly with the employee for the rejection of his application.
Yes. So we go with the third one is the offer support and solution. So actually we have
For
three
the first
main.
one, I have also an idea for the first one. Sudan also should look for another successor from the internal pool on top
So,
of
succession
yes,
planning, yes.
yes.
I'll put your non-communication up front. Yeah.
I tested it, Michael, in the chat box. If you want, I mean, you can take it there.
Put it where?
I mean, in the chat box, you can see there.
Oh.
I mean, the team. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, should we just keep it in the chat box then, yeah?
Well, as you want. So do we agree about these 3 or 4 points?
Yeah.
All right. So we can move to the next one, yeah? Yes, so the Sudan, the final. Yes, yes. Thank you, right. Yes, sure. So we can go to the second question.
Okay, who's at fault?
Sure, yani first one is Sudan as an HR manager. And the finance because they didn't communicate properly.
So it's Kaveri's fault that she didn't communicate earlier.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it's like a joint fault in terms of the
Yes.
senior management. I mean,
Yeah.
as part of the succession planning, Kaveri and Sudan would have discussed it, laid out the succession plan for VJ so that he understood in advance why he probably wouldn't have even put his name in for transfer if he knew that what
Yeah.
the succession plan was for him.
Yeah, it seems that there were no system in place to know exactly what are the strong like what each employee has capabilities and so on. Seems so.
I believe like Sudan, he wasn't even he didn't make an open communication between what was that first guy? The finance guy, okay, Kavarai, and VJ. He didn't make an open conversation between them.
Yeah. So because if you noticed in the last the last paragraph, it mentions that Sudan remembers the conversation. There's no like a system that holds all the communication earlier to understand if they have the right pool to move from like to transfer from one department to another and so on. So it's about their memory. It's not a system.
And
So
also, I think in addition to that, it probably links in somehow to the performance reviews, because
exactly,
if during the performance reviews, neither HR nor the line manager, Kaveri, had discussed this or brought this up with the employee, then there's an issue also with the performance review process.
Yes.
So you've correctly identified two processes there, Riyadh. Brilliant, very well done. So you've correctly identified that it was succession planning and then performance reviews. So when we talk
Performance
about
reviews,
to
yes.
which aspects of strategic human resource does it align to, the last question there, Riyadh is already starting to give you answers towards that. It refers directly to succession planning and correctly written there. Performed. That's number 3. To which concepts can you relate this case to? That comes under there. Well done. Well done. The discussion is brilliant. Carry on, guys. Carry on.
All right. So we can continue the third question now, guys.
So basically,
that-
we
yeah.
tapped into both, I think, the second and third in this discussion, I believe.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. The third is succession planning and performance reviews. The third question.
Yeah. And there should be something related also to performance appraisal as well, just to understand in the second one, I believe.
Second one.
Again, Faris, sorry. Firas, sorry. Again,
Yeah.
I didn't get you.
So, who is at fault? So they don't have a performance appraisal system.
So I can understand from your question, like there is a conflict management actually.
Yeah, it's sort of because Cavalry's decision was made after they discussed it the second or third year, I believe. The second time he asked for the transfer, she noticed that he's motivated and he has like all the skills required to transfer from this department to another department. And it seems that even he didn't communicate it well earlier.
So they have to, what they call it, improve the internal communication in the organization itself.
The processes, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, internal communication or the system. I get your point. Yeah. Agree, guys? I believe it's a solid point here. And appraisal, as you mentioned, Firas, yes. Job satisfaction and employee motivation also, and conflict of management. And actually, the talent management actually, and the planning. It's HR. If they are, let's say, there is a lack of knowledge or planning in the HR, always the employee will, lose his rights because the management.
Yeah, you are absolutely agree because the succession planning is Dr. Al-Hayar and from Azerbaijan. Succession planning is the case which need to proactive succession planning to ensure the high potential employees like Vijay, are nurtured and prepares the future role for the organization. If there is this guy has good capability and he's growing up and get more professional, the company need to use this one. It is exactly the benefits for all because to replace him and stop him to grow up, it is create many problems for Hub. This task, if done by him successfully, we have to keep, we have motivate. And this is one point. And the second point is performance review.
Yeah. And also in the third point, there is no growth planning as well. Because
on performance review, that's where they're supposed to discuss such things where they discuss development. That's where the manager would have picked that Vijay has the ambition to go to the alpha team.
Yeah.
So it looks like the performance reviews are not even done properly.
He holds an MBA and he's been working for 6 years. So there's no growth plan in place. So I think the third one we can add to it the concept of growth planning and development.
Understanding I think that would fall under CPD, continuous professional development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So who's gonna nominate themselves to do the presentation when we go back into the main room?
A presentation.
Well, just to explain the answers, I think you, Ali.
Nice. Thank you very much.
I'm nominating you.
That's all right, no problem. I can see in like within like 5 minutes I can finish it. It's okay. All right.
Gee, that
Okay,
was a
Luis.
good discussion, I believe.
Yes, yes.
All right, are you guys done? Do you have your sheet ready?
Shit.
Sheet is ready to be
Yes.
shared. Let's see how the other team is doing and how far they. I'll come back to you now. Yeah, you've got to type your answers out to here. Yeah, get them below the
On the
question.
chat room or
Sorry. Go back to your sheet there so I can see the sheet again. Yeah, if you can. So where you got now, what should Sudan do now? Drop it below that there, so the answer comes underneath that. Yes, and then we can see that clearly, and do the same thing on the next one. So each answer is clearly out. Do you know who's going to present over here? So who will be able
yes,
to?
Ali.
I am
Okay.
here.
Okay, brilliant. As long as you guys sort that out, that's fine. Let me catch up with the other team quickly. Give me 2 minutes.
There is one thing I noticed here is like the senior manager was not convinced with the outcome because the fact is Kaveri was the reason for Vijay's rejection of transfer. And now she went back to accept. So I think there need to be addressed these things between the head of department and the HR as well.
Hi guys, okay, they need just a few minutes there. They're trying to wrap themselves up. Down to question 3 there. Just give them another 2 minutes more and then I'll be back with you now. Thank you.
Guys, I would like to share, just according to my experience, when I am hiring to new personnel to my team, after the first discussion which I providing with the new team, a new person who will planning to employ, my last question is usually is that what benefit to can bring to my team, to my job, to my company. And based on this, some person replies that, okay, I am ready to study, I am ready to learn. Actually, this person it is get more promotion because we will see that he try and he learning, and then of course it is long term. It is result. It's not coming during the 1 month or 2 months. At least we need to spend the money. We need to spend the time for this person, but this person grow. And here, based on this case, both of them, it's I think more we have to motivate them. Otherwise, he will try after learning, after get experience, skills. This person will try to find another company and try to resign, and we resign and go to another company where the salary will be high. And for the company, it will be just lost because again, try to find new one, educate them or qualified one. This is lost of the time.
The column so that is to confirm it is number one answer. Yeah. Are we back to the main group?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Sorry, my microphone is muted over here. Sorry, Michael, go ahead and share your screen with the answers. Let's get I'm talking to myself there. Thank you. Yes, okay, brilliant. Go for it. You guys can start. Who's presenting for you over there? Start explaining.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm Ali Baghanim. So, regarding this case study of Barika Chemicals and for solution with the VJ offers, the problem is, okay, we can see, I can answer with these three questions and I can explain the reasons behind it. So what should Sudan do now? Actually, Sudan as an HR manager should first address the immediate concern and restoration of the variable employee, okay, with the VJ. So the action should be taken as immediate response. Arrange a meeting with VJ to discuss the decision and explore any possibility or reconsideration from him. Understand maybe there is personal reasons, issues. So understand in depth way. Second, the communication. The communication, it's very important. Clear communication. Maybe the reason behind this repetitive rejection of his transfer and request, to explain to the company his future plan. Okay. Third thing, the offer support and for his solutions. Sudan should ensure smooth transition of the offer support, okay, from a positive reference and assistance in finding a new opportunity to make Vijay to contribute and maintain his good relationship and the potential future re-engagement. So this is the first part. Second part, who's this fault? From our perspective, our discussion, we find all of them, the three three department. I mean, the three persons are in fault. Kavari as a senior management finance, because she failed to communicate her intentions and the strategic reason behind why she reject his transfer. Okay, and Sudan as a senior manager, okay, as I said, he didn't take an immediate response to listen from him. And Vijay, while he's a proactive approach in his career development, his response to rejection, let's say, if he just slow down and handle himself and patent for a little bit and hear the feedback, maybe he was possibly promoting himself. So for the third question, to which concept of HRM can you relate to this case? All right. So there is several concepts applicable in this case. The talent management and succeeding plan. So the plan should be take for the leadership role, aligning with the succession plan and strategic. It should be clear to the employee and for the management. Internal communication, as I mentioned before, effective communication, lack of transparency, it's actually between the finance and HR lead this misunderstanding and miscommunication between the three, between these two departments, and put Vijay in let's say, let him don't get the full picture. The conflict of management, and this is the last one, the conflict of management. Nobody knows. I mean, nobody knows how. Nobody knows from where they should start, or who's the first, or who's the second, and where there is no system clear to do this. So
excellent, Rowan. Excellent, guys. Excellent. Thank you very much. There, brilliant. Okay, so I want to put a question forward to your team on that there. And I was listening to your entire presentation. Very well done. Thank you. But to your team, I'm putting a question forward. There's something that you didn't discuss in your presentation over there, was the concept of trust. In relation to the concept of trust, do you think the organization still has that trust? When we talk of commitment, we talk of trust. Do you think they've managed Vijay's trust well? And do you think they still have Vijay's trust?
I believe, Mr. Professor Anish, it's transparency and communication. I don't want to say it's trust, but if you reach, I mean, if that transparency and communication is there, trust, it will be linked with it.
Okay, I've got Naimani. Go for me, Naimani.
Yeah, thanks, Anish. I'm not in the group, but good question. As I'm Vijay, then I will not trust the organization.
So you believe trust has been broken down completely now?
Completely broken, yes.
Okay.
As a Vijay, yeah, after all this frustration.
Okay, thank you. Walid?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, Walid, what do you think of trust?
Trust, we cannot say it's broken. They can repair. Still they have a chance. If he did not have other offer from other organization, okay. There's a gap. There's a gap between all of them. No good communication. He did not receive any feedback of reason of rejected within 3 years.
Yeah. 3 years. That's the whole
Yes.
point. That's not 1 year. This has gone on for 3 years now, and
Yes.
it's a prolonged process.
3 years, and after 3 years he decided to arrange a meeting. يعني it's not logic. يعني how he accept a rejected for 3 years without reason, without any feedback.
Yes, without reason, without feedback. Correct.
Yes,
correct.
يعني it's not healthy. But يعني after receiving a feedback from them, but it's not clear. يعني even in while a meeting, he did not received يعني a clear.
They had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to fix it up.
Yes. They have a growth opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's to other category, يعني from employee to management to be manager and he have a good performance, يعني performance feedback from the high management, but there's a gap between them and something not logic. يعني rejected for 3 years without any reason, without any action, without a meeting.
Thanks, Wally. Thank you.
Allow me here.
I'm going to go to Firas. Firas, go for me, Firas.
Yeah. Well, I believe the trust was broken during the meeting with Kaveriz, especially after she said to him, "Oh, now I understood why you wanted to move." And then when she said like that, he left the meeting immediately. It's obvious that he doesn't trust her words anymore. So the trust was broken between both. And that's why I believe he left the meeting without like saying anything after that, based on the case study.
Thank you. George Mutupi, how are you doing, George? Go for me, George.
For me, I don't think there was trust throughout the 3 years that Vijay was applying, because this is an internal team. You're moving from one team to the other team, which is the alpha team. If there was trust, after the first application, when they were doing a performance review, if the organization does have that, that's where Vijay could have also cleared such information to find out that I have applied for this and I see I don't get any feedback. What is happening? Because my ambition is to grow. That's why I'm applying for the team. I'm not looking to leave the organization, but I need growth. That's why I need to go to the alpha team. I believe there I will get the necessary growth I'm looking for. So there was.
So you
no
also point a little bit
them.
of blame. You also point blame to Vijay, and that's correct. You're saying Vijay.
Yes, because remember, growth is also from your perspective. You can't expect the organization to grow you if you don't also show where you want to grow. You also have to put yourself out to say, this is the path I would like to take. So he also didn't do his due diligence when he was doing the performance reviews with his manager. So me looking at this situation, I think all three of them didn't come up with the solution, or were not transparent enough to put all the information on the table.
Absolutely. Thank you, George. Thank you for your perspective there. Alayar, I'm going to trouble you. You're going to have to make it short because the other guys want to present quickly. Go for me.
There is exactly for any case for rejection, should be, there is a reply from HR with the reason why he is a rejection. Sometimes have the skill for the position which was promoted. So this means the company may consider you for another position. High skill, multi-qualified. This is the reason why you are company not see in this position you.
Interesting. Very interesting. Thank you very much, Alaya. All right. Michael, if you could stop sharing your screen, I want to give the other team a quick chance to go through it. But that was very, very interesting. I love the discussion, and I can see it's going to be a very interesting class. We definitely have a deep discussions that happen in class. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Team 1. Absolutely amazing, and I love the discussion that backed it up as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Team 2, go for it. Who's presenting the screen there? You've got your screen to share and can give us a quick rundown on that. There, we've gone to 10 p.m. already, but we'll wait for you. Please share your screen. And give us a quick overall on your discussion in there. Who was in Team 2? Trying to find Team 2.
Person in charge of sharing the screen, no?
Yeah. I think it was Osama. Osama, didn't you have the screen there?
Look like Osama left.
Yeah. I think Osama's gone. All right.
He's a finance manager, maybe.
You want to tell us a little bit about what was going on there? Just chat a few, but just a few points. Go over. Anything that you want to add extra?
I think maybe I can do a team if allow me. There are a few points we cover that what Sudan should do now. I think the same like a previous one is Sudan call for a meeting with the VJ to understand the reason for resigning, where in this meeting you need to have finance manager as well involved into this one and discuss through all these resignation reasons. And with those cases where maybe VJ will be given chance to explain all his frustration, all his issues, and brought to the table to be transparent. So this is part of question 1. And question 2, the fault is both the HRM and the finance manager. We picked these 2, but our colleagues, he added the third person who is VJ himself, but we didn't. We consider these 2, HRM and finance. And question 3, which concept of HRM can you relate this case? I think we had some few discussion on it. We went back to question 1, but most likely the ethnics and the process of recruitment and talent plans. These are the area we saw. Maybe another team member can add. I think the 3 were most likely we feel it as a concept that can be related to this case.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I also loved your discussions. I was in there with you listening to everything. Apologies if somewhere along the line that didn't work in getting you as a presenter. I do see that. Thank you so much for Team 2 as well. Love the discussion, love the activities. So let's catch it up on Wednesday and we'll run through the balance of the LO1 on Wednesday. And we'll start getting in depth into the assignment brief, get through question 1 at least there, and close that out. And then we have another good discussion group created for Wednesday as well. We have another case study set up for Wednesday where you look at some different human resource policies, and you'll have a chance to discuss and share again in your groups. So good luck and thank you very much. And I'll see you all on Wednesday. Love the discussion. Cheers. See you on Wednesday. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Thanks.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Good night.